Welcome to Season 1, Episode 30 of BHP After Dark. What is best in life?
What is best in life, Benjo?
Happiness.
Happiness. Amen.
Happy wife, happy life.
You'll know that soon enough. How you doing, dog?
Good.
Good. We've been behind on getting some of these out there, so we need to get caught up.
Yeah.
You having a good spring break?
Mhm.
Yeah. What you been up to?
Stuff. I've been golfing, for Greenwood High. All the stuff.
Right on. Little trip to the beach, see Jared.
Mhm.
So we did an interview for this podcast last week, and the audio didn't work right. Was it?
iPhone, you need to fix your stuff.
Yeah, so we had American Idol international superstar Freddie McClendon on.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get him in here next time, I think, or we'll do it on a Zoom call or something. We got to figure out how to get that audio tight. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Joe, and I can tell that you don't want to get no more small talk, and you just want to talk British history, right? I can tell.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Hey, is there anything else that's new here?
Oh, Arkansas made it to the Sweet 16 in basketball.
Yeah, they did, but we got a BHP sticker.
Oh, yeah.
I ordered a BHP sticker. Preferably, I'd love to see these things made a little bit bigger. And they have shirts too. I'll show you the shirts. I want a shirt like that, but they don't have any. Some of them are like Boudica shirts and like other Roman shirts. I want that though.
Okay, wait, I'm not gonna skip past the fact that about March Madness.
Yeah, we got a big game Thursday at 10.
Texas Tech.
So we got to get some rest tomorrow night, don't we? Arkansas, Texas Tech. Go Hogs. Benjo.
You'll see us play on Saturday.
Benjo.
Also.
Yeah, we will. That's after they win. Benjo, the year is 360. Could you imagine living in the year 360?
No.
No, you couldn't.
No.
But you had an ancestor that lived in the year 360 somewhere. I did. You did. So Benjo, the year's 360. We're in Northern Britain. Again, we've been talking a lot about Northern Britain. But the Picts, remember we talked about the Picts? I think they were just a Scottish tribe. And the Scotty were from Northern Ireland over here. They broke whatever peace treaty they had. And funny enough, Jamie says, I'm going to do an Irish history podcast next. Bruh, we are like 14 years into this thing, and you know what year I'm in now? I'm up to date.
1190.
1095.
I meant to say 1090.
1095.
I promise you, I was actually pretty close.
But if you
I meant to say 1090.
Okay. But I mean, it's laughable though. Again, that Jamie says he's going to do an Irish history podcast. He ain't got time to do what?
You said Irish history.
Irish history. But I mean, I would love, and I started listening to an Irish history podcast, and then they just stopped at like the year 1340, and then they picked up again at the year 1725, and it was good. It was a good podcast.
Was it like
the Irish history podcast?
Yeah, I'm saying like between those years, did a
lot of stuff happened.
St.
Patrick was
leprechauns take over.
St. Patrick was well before that.
No, I meant like did leprechauns?
Yeah, they took over and dominated and didn't let anybody write anything down.
Or snakes took over. Aren't snakes like famous in Ireland?
Yeah, but then they say that St. Patrick didn't actually drive out snakes. There weren't snakes to drive out, I think, is the thing. Anyway, Benjo, Julian, year 360. Julian is a Caesar. He is Constantius II's cousin, right? And they're having issues. Julian heard about the Picts and the Scotty raiding in northern Britain up here, right? So he sent his trusted general Lupicanus there in the winter. And Lupicanus went in the winter, I guess, of 360. He reaches London here, right? And from there, he should have been able to hear about all four quadrants. Remember the quadrants?
Yeah.
In the northwest, northeast, the southwest, the southeast. So Julian is having issues with his cousin because Constantius II is a leader also. I'm trying to remember if, let me see if I can even find here if Constantius II he was the Eastern Caesar, I guess. But so anyway.
Whoa.
Well, but Constantius wanted Julian's best army units in the east, right? So in response, Julian was named emperor by his forces, right?
Mm.
So just named emperor again.
You're emperor.
Yeah, that keeps happening. Benjo, you're emperor. You're emperor.
I'm president.
You get a car. You get a car.
I'm president of the United States now.
What? Last man on earth? Remember when he made himself president of the United States?
That was a great show. They shouldn't have discontinued it.
I know. But anyway, so Benjo, Julian marches. So Julian and Constantius are having this standoff. Julian marches to face Constantius, his cousin, in battle, right? Well, this civil war that was about to happen between cousins was averted when Constantius II died. Sounds like it was natural. Nobody was murdered or anything. So anyway, Jamie then jumps to saying we now have one emperor over Rome. So I've got to look it up, and maybe I'll answer this next time. But Julian had just been a Caesar. I thought maybe Constantius was an Augustus of the East, but I thought Julius was a Caesar of the West. But anyway, somehow Julian becomes emperor over all of the Roman Empire. I don't know if any other Augustus or Caesars were knocked out of the way for this to happen. Other than
maybe he just declared himself emperor.
I mean, it sounds like that's what he did, but I mean, we know he beat Constantius, or Constantius died, but after that, he did. So the issue they were having with the rebellion in the north with the Picts and the Scotti, it gets resolved. We don't know how though. We just don't know how, but it's resolved. And so Britain is slightly more peaceful, right? And so Jamie goes into how Julian was outed as a pagan. So at this time, remember, there had been this radical shift to convert to Christianity, right? But Julian comes in. I guess his uncle Constantine was the one who converted everybody to Christianity, but Julian was a pagan. But society kind of tolerated pagans. They were open. I mean, they were like, look, you want to be Christian? At least in Britain, it sounds like, right? 364, though. 364, the barbarian raids are increasing, right? And we're led to believe the barbarian raids, I'm assuming from the north, are increasing. But Rome, the great protector, is too busy with other stuff on the continent to protect Britain from the barbarian raids, right? So, 367 is the big year. Jamie plays the theme music from Conan the Barbarian because he's talking about barbarians a lot. Conan the Barbarian was a movie. Do you know who played Conan the Barbarian in the movie? No, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So he talks about the barbarian conspiracy. And the barbarian conspiracy, I mean, I'm capitalizing this because it sounds like it was a pretty big deal in the 4th century, right? The 300s. So what was notable about the barbarian conspiracy was that in Britain, the Picts and the Scotti and the Atticati, who were possibly Irish cannibals.
Whoa.
Yeah. They all kind of conspired and they organized along with Franks and Saxons down here on the continent. So it was a remarkable organization between what the Romans thought were people that weren't capable of the organization and the discipline that they had. So you had barbarians that are rising to the level of the organization that the Roman Empire had. The Roman Empire came, and so they almost kind of inspired them. I feel like taught them lessons on how to organize, and the barbarians became more organized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So
that cannibal thing kind of caught me off guard.
yeah, it did, didn't it?
I was like, oh, just killing him. Then cannibal.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh,
I was
yeah.
looking.
I mean, you can kill them, but you don't gotta be eating them.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I thought that would probably throw you a little. So Benjo, the unified coordination by the barbarians, both in Britain and on the continent, was super remarkable. It was almost like a turning point in this time, and it does feel like this was the beginning of the end, at least for the Western Roman Empire. A little foreshadowing there. But you know what it sounds like one thing that made this unified coordination by the barbarians remarkable was it sounds like the Ariani or the Roman scouts may have betrayed the Roman Empire
So they
and helped.
Did they betray them before they got there, or they got there and they was like
It sounds like it was during this. The way that the barbarians on the continent and in Britain, the way they were able to organize so remarkably, because this was out of character for them. For
they was like, we out.
Well,
we coming here.
Yeah, sounds like the way at least one of the ways they were able to do it was through these Roman scouts that turned on the Roman Empire and helped the barbarians.
Yeah,
so Jamie gives some possibilities, whether they were spies or whether they just literally joined with the barbarian soldiers, But the barbarians, they killed a couple of Roman generals. So I mean, things were getting serious here. And then the barbarians were raiding well past the wall and into Roman controlled Britain. And some of the Romano Britons had actually deserted the Roman Empire army, and the barbarians were turning on them too. And so the barbarians were turning to banditry. The Scottish and these tribes up there, they were turning to.
It's a lot of betrayal.
Yeah, a lot of betrayal. So part of this coordination was Rome couldn't even get there to save the people in Britain because they were being distracted by barbarians on the continent. So it was like super hard for them to even if they wanted to get there and relieve the Romano Britons who were being raided, they couldn't, right? So then there's a new emperor of the West, Valentinian the First. So what happened to
Valentine's Day?
Maybe that's a good question. I don't know. So what happened to Julian? If Valentinian the First is the new emperor of the West, what happened to Valentinian? I mean, to Julian. I got to look that up, and I should have. And actually,
I think that was when I was using my phone.
Yeah.
To try to do it anyway.
So this is what happened to Julian.
Yeah, I mean, all right.
So Valentinian, we talked about Julian. So we went from Constantine, who converted them to Christianity, to Julian, who was a pagan. Now they're back to Valentinian the First, who is a hardcore Christian, right? And he didn't put up with pagans. He persecuted pagans. He like rounded.
He wasn't letting them doing it.
He wasn't putting up with them pagans.
He didn't let them do it.
But he was generous to the poor. He persecuted people who weren't Christians, but he was generous to the poor.
He had a good side and a bad side.
Right. So, you've got these barbarian raids in Britain, and these Romano British, they were used to a pretty safe lifestyle. So the barbarian raids keep moving further south. And so Emperor Valentinian sent Theodosius to deal with the the barbarian raids in Britain. He gets there. He's finally able to get past the Frankish and the Franks and the Saxons on the continent, the barbarians who were kind of preventing the Romans from relieving the 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 stress in Britain. He gets past them. He gets there. He recovers some of the stolen loot that the barbarians were stealing, and he tries to return it to the owners. So when he does that, Theodosius is welcomed in London as a hero, just like Constantius was Constantine's dad when he protected them from the Frankish barbarians, right?
Yeah.
So Theodosius seems to have been pretty, um, uh, pretty soft, not soft, but he pardoned the traitors and organized them back into the government. And because of his efforts, peace was established for the most part. And possibly because of the spread of Christianity, possibly because of this relationship with the Ariani, which we talked about, the traitors, there are actually Roman names being used way up here in northern Britain and Scotland. So there's this spread, even though they weren't directly under Roman control, they're using Roman names, you know. So because of these barbarians, before this, I'm assuming, a British province had been lost and then recaptured. So we talked about the four, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a fifth in there somewhere. We don't know where it was, but it was
you got the east west.
east, west, south, north, northeast, southwest. But um, but apparently it was taken over by the barbarians and then recovered by the British. So, and Benjo, Jamie says because of the retaking of this province, there was an ovation, which was not really done anymore. And an ovation is,
I mean, you see it clearly. No, it's just that's heavy.
there you go.
A little struggle.
So Jamie then goes into this story about a guy named Valentius. We'll call him Val. Maybe that's what Jamie. I wrote that.
Oh, no, I like that.
Val. This is in on the continent. Not sure what he did, but he was condemned to death.
Was condemned.
Means he was sentenced to death.
So it's just a random guy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he was probably a big deal. And
but his brother, but okay, so his brother-in-law had a sway with the emperor. So
right.
He was exiled to Britain.
Right. So instead of being killed, he was sent to Britain, right? Where it wasn't as easy as it used to be in Britain,
Yeah.
right? Because these barbarians are making things, so he set about trying to get a rebellion going in Britain, right? But the Roman power was too strong.
Yeah.
And so he was executed, But they couldn't, the Roman Empire didn't want to execute too many people because that might inspire rebellion.
Yeah.
So they had to execute just like a
perfect amount
of executions. That's a good name for a band, right?
But Theodosius. We'll just call him Theo.
Theo.
Okay.
Theo, Emperor Theo of the West.
He was a rock star.
Right, because he had protected Britain, so he was welcomed as a rock star.
Let's call him a protect star.
Protect star, I like that. So he built some defensive structures, but Britain at this point is really no longer a safe haven for the wealthy, and it's changed forever, right? And I'm telling you, this is a little bit of foreshadowing, but we're like close to the year 3.
Are we like closing to the end of the Roman?
So we've got about
peak of the Roman Empire.
35 more years. I mean, we've passed the peak.
Well, I mean, not the peak. Like, I mean, like when they're still powerful.
They're still in control. We got about 35 years to go. A little foreshadowing there.
Bye, Roman Empire.
But and I'm really excited for you to learn about the next chapter too. But anyway, during this time, London was renamed Augusta. Do you think that stuck?
No.
No.
I mean, this is everybody knows London as London today.
Jamie says he
Wait,
doesn't think Londoners like accepted that, and they
Yeah.
just.
Wait, did they name it Augusta because was it Rome? Was it Roman inspired?
Yeah, it would have been Rome, like Augusta, Caesar,
Yeah,
Augusta,
Augustus Caesar.
Augustus,
Caesar, the first
right,
emperor of Rome.
right. And Jamie compares this London being renamed Augusta to Sting, the bass player for the Police, being called by his real name Gordon.
Oh, because it never.
Because it just wouldn't take,
Wait, is the month August named after?
In some way, I bet it is.
July named after Julius Caesar?
I guess it is, yeah. And June's named after June. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, I think some of them like September. Like Sept is, I think it's actually 7, but because the months there used to be like no June or July.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Or something like that, or July, June, and May, or something. And so it's 2 months behind. So September, Sept means 7, which because it used to be the 7th month, and then they just never changed. Like October, Oct means 8, but it's the 10th month.
You know what? I never thought about that, Benja.
And then
that's smart.
Deck, you think about Deck.
That's
December,
10.
But it's really the 12th month.
But it's 12. Interesting.
Some mind-boggling facts to end the episode.
Wow. I like your knowledge of the root words though. That's gonna treat you well. Benjo, the bottom line is Rome is back in control of Britain. They've stopped the rebellions for the most part though, but not for long. Benjo, hey, I hope you enjoy the rest of your spring break. I'm going to review some more and we'll get another one in much sooner.
Yes.
Shout out to Jarrett Smith for finishing recognition day at the Citadel.
The Gauntlet.
Yeah, Whit Smith balling out, GHS. Good luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And I don't know when the next time Freddie will be on American Idol. Yeah, when's the Hollywood episodes?
He was on this past week.
That's the whole point of us doing the interview, was to promote in front of our millions of listeners. But the audio didn't work out. We'll get him on here and we'll promote. He's going to Hollywood, so.
Yeah. Well, you're going to Hollywood.
Yay. Benjo.
All right, it's been a pleasure. As always, I've been Benjo.
I'm B.
And we've been BHP After Dark.
Don't believe